Hello everybody, I'm SimmingInOz, and today we are making Obi-Wan Kenobi's house. And it's a bit of a daunting thing because you never actually think of these characters in terms of where they live, where they eat, where they sleep, so it's a little bit challenging. God, what I wouldn't give to actually see the quarters within the Jedi Temple. You probably see it in the animated series, and this is where I'm missing out. But I would love to see what kind of setup they have. I'm imagining a lot of minimalism and just very purposeful neglect of anything to do with hobbies or anything like that. They're just, it's not up their alley. It's not what they're about. They're protectors of the galaxy, so they don't really go in for that kind of thing. However, what we're building today is Obi-Wan Kenobi's desert house. So within the save file, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's both young and old, I suppose. And we're trying to find that lovely balance between the timelines and making him accessible to anyone that wants to play, no matter what timeline they want to play in. I am still considering making an old Obi-Wan Kenobi, but for now, this is where young Obi-Wan Kenobi lives. I've called it Old Ben Kenobi's Tatooine shack or something, and I wanted it to be very on brand for the Tatooine architecture that I've been working on so far. So what we've got is a lot of subtle curves, a lot of plain concrete, and not much embellishment. It's a lot of open concrete. It's got some dust on it, and that's really about it. It might have some windows and some shutters and some vents and some flags and everything, but looking at it, it's all very practical in the service of keeping the occupants of the home cool. So what we're doing is we're basically leaning into that, in that the home itself is mostly contained within the shell of the property. It's hidden behind very thick walls, known for keeping the heat out, behind stone. It's very well insulated, and it's going to keep the heat out for everybody. So that's why it's got a blast door on the front for various reasons. And then there's this big courtyard outdoor area that's very popular for Tatooine homes. I'm of course basing this slightly on the idea that Luke's home, for example, has a big courtyard just out into the sun, and I feel like this would be a very frequented area during sunrise and sunset, but maybe not during the height of the day when the sun's at its peak and everyone's probably, doing their indoor work at that time. I feel bad for the people who are out there in the sun during midday. I don't think it would be a smart thing to do. I hope to God they're wearing sunscreen and all that kind of stuff. Being an Australian, it's just like skin cancer is not something you screw around with, mate. So I'm oddly concerned. But we've got this lovely outdoor courtyard area, and I wanted it to blend into the architecture of what's going on within the city itself. So the suburb that Obi-Wan Kenobi's house is based on is he is in the city. For various reasons, I had to put his house in the city itself. It couldn't be out in the desert like Luke and Rey are. I think I just ran out of room, and by virtue of building Watto's shop where I did right next door, I had to put Obi-Wan next to him as the smaller lot because Obi-Wan had to have the smaller lot. So various reasons. He's a city boy now. He's not out in the desert, so I like to imagine he's converted this old Empire safe haven, as you can see I'm putting it down now, into a area where he can live and work, and I still think it sort of works. Like, he would be the one to reclaim something that was negative in his view and then turn it into something good, I suppose, and utilize it for practical purposes. He just sort of gets away with everything, really, so it's not off-brand for him. And then, of course, I just really like the idea that, it's got a nice big blast door on the front, which I feel like safety and mystery and sort of keeping to his own would be a priority for him. So I like to imagine he lives a very sheltered, isolated lifestyle. Not many friends come over, even though Han and Chewie are literally across the road in the hangar bay. And Luke and Rey are down the road, and there's a store next to him. He's very much someone who keeps to himself. He's out there doing his thing, and he just wants to be left alone. So he's got a few hobbies. For whatever reason, I gave him a speeder within his front yard. I just felt like making a pod racer. I just wanted to see if I could do it, so I did it. I'm like, I'm running out of lots to do this, and this is the last chance I have, so here we are. So he does have a lovely speeder in his front yard. Maybe he's some kind of mechanic or something on the side, who knows, but we're just having fun with it. As for the outdoors, I'm just filling in and doing a bit of world building. I did have to cover up all of the flags because I didn't feel like it was appropriate that Obi-Wan would keep the First Order flags on display. He's not patriotic like that, so we are covering them up very strategically with the tool mod, and then we're going through and we're just filling out the area around his house. So again, leaning into that aspect of it's the build, but it's everything around the build, and just sort of blending his home into the structure of the city and making sure that it looks correct. And it does, it flows, which I quite like. And I really love the courtyard. Like that was really fun. I love the idea that you have to walk under something to get into the courtyard, which I thought was just like, oh, I love things like this. So yeah, building with live edit objects is always great fun, and I love how the towers light up. And I feel like I just gave everybody in this suburb a moisture farmer pole, because everyone has to have one power. I don't know if it generates power, but I like to think it's a power generator, or it generates moisture, water, which maybe there's an infrastructure thing. I've got to stop thinking about this. I'm overthinking it. But yeah, but no, it was all sorts of fun. And as you can see, I've got Obi-Wan there. He was my playtester for this build, and I sort of just put in a lot of effort into making sure that everything worked out. And it was just a ton of fun. I am eventually going to be doing Qui-Gon, hopefully soon. I'm looking forward to Qui-Gon, even though he's only in one installment. I feel like that's a very relevant character to Obi-Wan. And I'm looking forward to making Liam Neeson with his long hair and his Jedi-ness and a bit of a rebel. And yeah, it was just really, really fun. In terms of the interior for his home, I decided to go very Tatooine, but I also wanted to interject just a little bit of modern to it. Look, I'm a bit biased here. Obi-Wan is like one of my favorite characters, and I wanted him to have nice things, and I feel like he works very hard. Like, he'd be a physically able and very mentally able employee in whatever he chose to do while he was on Tatooine looking after Luke. So I can't think that he would be living in squalor or anything. So I did give him quite a nice house. It's small, it's minimalist, in keeping with Tatooine, but also Jedi practices. But also the idea that I wanted him to just have electronics and life amenities that would be would be considered fancy within Tatooine itself. So he's got this lovely little multi-level home with these little offshoots. And these are sort of like live ed objects that are meant to go in like the cantina, but I used them in this instance for his interior to make little nooks for his living room and bedroom. And it's all very open plan and everything, because you wouldn't really section off bits and pieces. It would just be, you know, little nooks and everything, like you see in the movie. He's got this little cluttered, modernistic, but also very open plan home in the movies as well. So I just sort of leaned into that. I love making little nook beds, as in you pop a bed in, it's backed up against the wall on one long side, and then you bracket it on either end with stuff. So it's not so much how we would place a bed, it's a futuristic style of putting a bed in a nook, and it just sort of works. And obviously he's got a little dresser and, you know, some plants. I like to think he's very lovingly tended to his plant collection, because this is finally the time where he can just sort of work hard, live a simple lifestyle, and take a load off. For his kitchen, I just went with classic Star Wars kitchen. It's all very same for the kitchens I've been doing thus far. It's small, it's clean, and it's bright white colors. It's not the cream that we've been using thus far. It's a very clean kind of Star Wars-esque white that George Lucas loves to favor. And I really love the new bathroom clutter kit that's coming in super handy for stuff like this, and just for his bathroom as well. So we've got those beautiful stone half wall and shelving that's really cute. I gave him a little fridge and a little oven, and just super cute. He doesn't have a dining table, but just because I think really I just forgot and I can't imagine. I feel like he'd sit down in his lounge room to eat food, and that would be contributing to his minimalist lifestyle. And I do give him a little meditation cushion in his main living walk-in area, and that would typically be where the dining table would be, but he's not about that life, so he's sticking to the floor. As for the bathroom, yes, it is open plan as well. I didn't put it in little separate rooms. I just sectioned it off with, you know, stuff and objects, and it's got its own little nook. So you have a toilet nook and you have a shower nook, and you just sort of walk down the stairs, go around a corner, and you've got the beautiful stonework toilet, shower, all that lovely bronze piping that's in the new clutter kit, and I love it so much. And really that's it. I put in some electronics as well, like a Roomba, because imagine the dust. Imagine the dust in that house, blown in that blast door. I can't stand it. So I do give him a Roomba and just a few other things. I give him a security system because I feel like security would be at the forefront of his mind, and I just like the idea that he just goes on long walks and does his job during the day, and he keeps an eye on Luke, and Luke is nearby within the save. He's in the same suburb, which was perfect, and he's just being himself. But yeah, and yeah, he's just ready for anyone who wants to come play with him. If you want to take him to the Jedi Temple, that's absolutely fine. Pop him back in there, have him interact with Anakin. He is going to be best friends with Anakin, the younger, the not crispy, and then obviously he'll be in some kind of hate relationship with Darth Vader, so that is different. I think the reason I'm leaning not making an older Obi-Wan is because I just don't want to muddy up the waters with relationships, because I feel like Anakin, in whatever iteration that he's in, has just similar feelings with Obi-Wan across the board. There's love, but there's also a deep jealousy, a deep sense that you let me down, etc., etc., you don't respect me, and I just feel like that's across the board. Like, it took a slight turn when he became Darth Vader, but those feelings were already there. So I just, even if I did create an old Ben Kenobi, what would be the point? There would be no change in the relationships that he has. He doesn't have enough close relationships to warrant any kind of drastic shift. And Obi-Wan feels what he feels for Darth Vader, so that's easy done. Darth Vader is his own character, and Anakin is his own character. And there's no Padawan relationship status that I could possibly give them, as in Master and Padawan. It'd be an interesting thing to implement, but I don't know really how I'd go about doing that. I'd have to give it some thought. But really, yeah. But I'm happy with how it turned out, and I do love his home. Like, I could see myself playing Obi-Wan in the save. Like, I'd have a lot of fun playing him because his lifestyle is just so simple, and he's just ready to go for whatever adventure is in front of him, and I like it so much. But really, that is it for Obi-Wan and his home build. I gave him a TV, and I gave him the Roomba, and he's got some music playing. He probably plays like ocean music or something. I bet he misses the ocean. And we're just adding in some slight Tatooine decor and everything, and some herbs on the wall and everything. You know, you got to be a little self-sustainable out here. You can't just rely on, you know, moisture farmers and everything, but yeah. Oh, and I do give him Obi-Wan, no, not Obi-Wan's, Luke, no, not Luke's, oh my god, Anakin's lightsaber. I put Anakin's lightsaber by his bed. It's a blue lightsaber ready for him to give to Luke if Luke wants to come and get it. At the time of the save, I will be putting Luke, like I did Harry, at the very beginning of his story, living with his aunt and uncle. Oh my god, I just realized Harry lives with his aunt and uncle, and Luke lives with his aunt and uncle, and oh my god, I'd never noticed that before. Interesting. Oh well, anyway, Luke's lightsaber is here for him to come and get anytime Obi-Wan wants to hand it over. And yeah, and obviously Obi-Wan will have his green lightsaber on hand. Does he have green or blue? I'm gonna have to Google that. But yeah, ready to go when he needs it. But thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and have a fantastic day, everybody. Bye-bye.